Hey people, it's Niles talking. Now, before I get into talking about what I really want to talk about, I'm going to give an intro from an old post. Now, this is from a post on my Instagram, you can see it there. Now, a lot of people say that people don't believe in God anymore. That's not true. It's just the focus of their belief has changed. It's a new belief called statism. The state is God, and the government is an object of worship. It is infallible. It never lies. If it lies, it did it for your benefit. If it wants what's best for you. If it hurts you, it did it to protect you. It gives the pretense of serving you by giving you the opportunity to change its face, but regardless of its promises, it will do what it wants. It demands sacrifices in the form of money. Occasionally, it will be paid in blood. One state will fight with another state, and its worshippers will kill each other because the two states want to test their followers' loyalty and commitment to their God. Now, recently, over the last few months, I've been having more and more interactions with people, and one of them was with a person I was working with. This was a retired cop who was now working part time. Now, before people start saying, "Oh, f the police" or blah blah blah, that it's not so much about the police because a lot of people think like this guy, even if they've never worked for the police or the government whatsoever. And we were talking about, first off, it was about smoking, and I said, there was a park, and I said, there's no smoking signs, and I said, what kind of fascist nonsense is this? You know, this is how it started. They would say no smoking indoors. Now it's just in outside. There's no justification. It's just, hey, we said don't smoke, just don't smoke. And he said, and he followed that up with, well, I don't smoke. It doesn't bother me. And I thought, and well, this is what I said. I said that's what they used. That was a famous poem that was written about after the Holocaust in World War II, where someone said, first they came for the communists, then they came for them, then they came for the Jews, then they came for me. But when it came to me, there was no one left to speak. A lot of people will give passes to authoritarian and tyrannical actions because it doesn't affect them. And this is what's happened with smoking. First, they gave a justification to take away people's freedom, and objectively, that was for everyone's good. And then they just started taking more and more freedoms away, and they don't even have to give a reason anymore. In fact, is smokers are so demonized. I'm surprised it hasn't just become legal to just shoot them in the street, and people will be given medals. And more, I could see that he was very indoctrinated through his career in the police. You could just see that he just believed the government was right, and he said, "Well, we've elected the government, and we should just accept what they're doing." And I thought, wait, that's really dangerous. That's what the mentality of people who follow Hitler did. That they believed that he was doing things for their own good. And then he said, "Well, um, what's the word?" He lied to them, and I said, "And what's the difference between this one and then the other government?" And he couldn't really answer that, so he tried changing the subject. And what was it? Sorry, folks. I'm just going off a chain of my own my own thoughts, so you just have to bear with me. And then it was very sad watching this because you think with all his experience of seeing the corruption and incompetence that goes on in government via his career, he hasn't learned anything. He still believes in the blind obedience to the government. And then you could see how brainwashed he is because we started talking about welfare, and he started talking about how is it the government's responsibility to look after people. And I thought, well, first off, you're willfully ignoring reality because the government has taken action that's thrown millions of people out of work and damaged their livelihoods. Obviously, they have a responsibility for it. And secondly, you have to ask yourself, people keep saying this, it's not the government's job. Well, if people keep saying it's not the government's job, why is it that people have to be taxed if it's not the government's job to provide them with things? You know, they say that the army, the police, everything should be privatized. So, logically speaking, what is the point of government? You have to pay taxes, and yet you're told you are not. It's not their job to take care of you. So, why are you paying taxes? You see, he doesn't want to answer that. And then you could see how indoctrinated he was when he started saying, is there a case, or are there actual cases of the government working to deny people their welfare? And I said, now this is something that's here from the UK. In the UK, if you apply for welfare, it's called job seekers allowance if you're unemployed, they will make you wait 6 weeks for that. And a lot of people going to food banks are going there because they have to wait over a month and a half to get anything. So people have nothing while they're waiting. And he said, yes, I know that. And I thought, wait a minute. So now you're willfully lying in order to protect this government. I mean, in law, it's a crime to omit information. To say something to ask a question when you know that the answer is false is the same thing. It's a lie. And this is one of the things. A lot of people think like this. People believe that authority equals right. When people talk about Hitler, they love to talk about him. But the thing is, Hitler was only able to do it because millions of people blindly obeyed him. That's why I titled this video only for just following orders. Because millions of people did atrocities, and they did it in the name of the government. Well, if the government says so, then it must be right. For anyone who's watched The Purge, there's a scene where a woman shoots one of her family members, and she says it's her constitutional right, according to the government, to purge. And you're just like, wow. And the thing is, people say that's crazy, but that's all people do. They will obey the government, no matter how crazy it is. And you have to understand, this is a very dangerous mentality and has effects that aren't really talked about. Now, the drug laws aren't just something that affects the black population in America, although it's extremely damaging. The drug laws worldwide have put millions upon millions of people in jail and destroyed lives, and for no other reason. And alcohol is legal, so it's not because it's for public safety, it's an aspect of control. And you can see that attitude summarized in an episode of Law and Order, where someone challenges Ice-T's character, and they say, well, what about alcohol or cigarettes? Legal. So this goes back to what I was saying. The idea that the government is God, the idea that the government is right. And I want to go over this again. There are people like this in your everyday life. People who have not served in the government, but who believe that if the government says something, that makes it right and it shouldn't be questioned. They can be your partner. They can be your family. They can be your neighbors. They could be your friends, their co-workers. And they will go along with it. And they are very, very, very dangerous. Because just like a religious fanatic will kill in the name of their God, they will kill you if their God, the government, tells them to do so. Anyway, I think I've summarized everything I need to say in this. And remember, one thing, I'm going to put down the Declaration of Independence if I can find it, and I'll put it in full, because I think people really need to read it, because a lot of people defend the government, but they don't really believe in the ideals of freedom that the government says that they're supposed to defend. Anyway, I'm out. Peace.